This is davidji, and welcome to this week's Life Tools. We've been exploring stress this week, and I've shared before that stress is in the eye of the beholder. What's the definition of stress? It's how you respond when your needs are not met, and that's happening about 8 to 15 times a day, where your needs are not met, and what you do with that information becomes the fabric of your day, your week, your month, your year, your life. And so there's a way that we can interpret stress so that, since it's in the eye of the beholder, if we can interpret it in a certain way, then stress will actually, when our needs are not met, be a nourishing experience as opposed to a destructive or negative type of experience. And of course, if we keep having destructive, negative, emotional responses to the world around us, we know where that leads us to. Perhaps it's led you to right now, right here. So there are three components in stress that if our interpretation fits these three components, it will actually be nourishing to us. And if we don't have these three components, then it won't. It'll be debilitating. So the first component is that we see an unmet need as a challenge and not a threat. We've been hardwired for 20,000 years, as all beings on the planet have been, that when we sense a threat to the physiology, we will either fight it or we will run from it. Now that's called the fight-flight response. And there's an emotional version of that. And when someone challenges not necessarily our physical body, but our sense of self, our ego, we respond. The fighting version is being aggressive or yelling or barking. And the fleeing or flight version of that is talk to the hand or withdrawing or just stepping away from the moment. Neither of those are our best version. So if we can respond to stress in a different way, then everything changes. So typically when someone challenges us in some way or threatens our sense of self, our ego, we respond seeing it as a threat. But if we could see it as a challenge instead of a threat, then suddenly everything shifts. Because when we see moments as challenges instead of threats, we don't have the cortisol, adrenaline, and glucagon, the chemicals and hormones surging into our body to hijack our emotions. And so we can respond more gracefully, more calmly, more purposefully, more mindfully, instead of mindlessly. The second component is that we see the challenge in a finite context, having a clear beginning and a clear end. So oftentimes when something happens outside of us, the reason we get so swirled up in it is because we don't see an end coming to it. We see, oh, this is going to go on forever. I'm going to be stuck in this thing for the rest of my life. And so rather than seeing something as ongoing, eternal, if we can see a clear starting point and a clear ending point, see it as finite, that's the second component. And the third component is we have to truly believe in our heart of hearts that we will learn and grow from the experience. So if we can see a moment where our needs are not being met as a challenge versus a threat, if we can see it as finite, having a clear beginning and an end, and if we can truly believe that we will learn and grow from the experience, then our interpretation of that stress will be positive and nourishing. Science is even determining that when we view the world in those contexts, that it increases wound healing. It helps you become more resilient. It builds your inner strength and vitality. So that's quite a different response than curling up in a fetal position and being overwhelmed by the moment. So this week, let's make a commitment to see moments as challenges versus threats, to realize that they're finite and get clear on what's that start and end point, and to believe in our heart of hearts and in our mind that we will learn and grow from the experience. And if we do all these three things, since stress is in the eye of the beholder, we will learn and grow and expand and blossom and bloom and transcend stress. From the sweet spot of the universe, this is davidji. I'll see you in the gap. Keep meditating. Namaste.